Jews will not replace us.
We've seen it throughout history, whether it's colonizers or it was Nazis in Germany who described Jewish people as terrible threats, used white supremacist ideology to justify a campaign to systematically eliminate them.
Payton Gendron, a white 18-year-old, allegedly gunned down 10 people in Buffalo, New York on May 14th. Before the shooting, he had posted a document online fixating on the idea that non-white people would eventually replace white Americans, according to authorities. This attack is just the latest in a series of violent acts connected to each other by this conspiracy theory, known as replacement theory. And while it's been lurking in dark corners of the internet for years, the concept has slowly been leaking into mainstream discourse. According to polls, roughly a third of all adults in the US today feel that immigrants are being brought into the country to replace native-born Americans and undermine their economic, political, and cultural power.
I think it's correct to understand the phrase replacement theory as maybe a new frame or a newer framework for an old idea.
Replacement theory's origins can be traced to a 1973 French book that described a mass immigration from the global south destroying white Western society and became popular among white supremacist and anti-immigration groups around the world. It also influenced author Renaud Camus, who published his book called The Great Replacement decades later.
I think there is a certain discourse that frames this as a fringe movement or something that's on the margins, but really we have to understand, again, with that historical context, these ideas are making a comeback and they're being popularized and politicized in a context of demographic change.
I understand my charges.
Gendron, who pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder, appears to be the latest in a series of attackers fueled by these racially motivated ideas. In 2018, a man wrote on social media that he blamed Jews for bringing non-white people into the US before allegedly killing 11 people at a synagogue in Pittsburgh. He pled not guilty and is awaiting trial. In 2019, another man in New Zealand released a document online titled The Great Replacement before he live-streamed himself killing 51 people. He pled guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. A month later, a shooter in California wrote an online letter referencing these extremist beliefs before killing one person and injuring 3 at a synagogue. He pled guilty and was sentenced to life plus 30 years. In August that year, an extremist in Texas referenced a Hispanic invasion before allegedly killing 23 people at a Walmart in El Paso. He pled not guilty and is awaiting trial.
When we see anti-Black racists literally weaponized in this way, or again in the example of the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, the violent anti-Semitism that gets popularized, not even just in traditional media, but especially the use of social media and the internet to spread ideas, but also spread violence.
Over the past decade, white supremacists were responsible for more than half of all extremist murders documented by the Anti-Defamation League. American lawmakers have taken notice.
White nationalist groups target communities of color and religious minorities through social media platforms, some of which are well known to all Americans, and some of which operate in hidden corners of the web. In each case, the perpetrators were motivated by a belief that people perceived to be non-white, whether they be African Americans, Jews, Muslims, or members of other minority communities, were plotting to undermine the white race as part of a great replacement.
The great replacement part of this is just kind of one aspect of a larger racist ideology that has justified domination on a global scale. It can be harder for some of us to see the historical roots of these racist ideas and violent practices. And until we have the courage to collectively face this history, it's going to be very difficult to move forward and build a kind of inclusive and just society so many of us would like to see.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.